Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Buy our merch. Oh, see?
Buy our merch, guys. We're upside down.
Babe, can you flip the mirror on that and then turn it so I can see? Or do you want me to just do that?
Yeah, just do that. Buy our merch indeed.
Yes, buy our merch.
A child shall lead them. I think you have to adjust. You have to adjust that, don't you? Okay. The time has arrived, dear listener. The name of this band is Stratovarius-Destiny. Or
no, Destiny.
Huh?
I don't think. Okay, is that a misspell or is that how that's supposed to be?
Or Dentini?
Yeah, Destiny.
Dentini. Okay. Dentini by Stratovarius. All I know about Stratovarius is that it's like a brand of violin.
Oh.
Okay. So this should be not buy any merch because I'm only opposed to child labor. That's good, Ben. That's good. I love Ben Webb's moral compass. It's beautiful. Now, if only Ben, you would care for all children, then we would be great. Okay, guys. So we're about to listen to a very, 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 very cool song by a very, very, very cool band. How do I know? Because these guys have been hitting on every single pick that they've done before.
Okay, I think it was a.
Go ahead.
I think it was a misspell because it's looking like Destiny here.
It looks like Destiny to me too, but I'm not gonna argue. Here we go, guys.
Ooh, babe, look.
Yeah, I know. They'll never know. That's a me and you thing. And Stratovarius, let's go. Feeling this. Shout out to Arthur Silva. Holy smoke.
Wow.
I went through a lot of ups and downs with this songs.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Man, this was... I started thinking partway through, I'm like, man, this is just one of those people, like the one-person band. And all of it's done on a computer, and I was so disappointed. That's why I looked up the band, because I had to know, is it one person or is there more?
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
then I saw that it was a full band, and I was like, I am sold on this band.
Yeah.
It felt like you were in, like, a theater. They did really good. And it was weird, though, because partway through it, like, switched. I was like, what is this? And then it switched again. It switched multiple times, but, whew, it was...
I went through a lot.
Grand at the end.
I went through a lot with this song because I'm not a fan of power metal. Wrestling with high concepts kind of won me over, and then I felt like a dad talking to his son mostly.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of life lessons, and then it was like, hey, I'm going to be leaving, but I'll come back to you soon, so wait for me type of thing. Mm-hmm. Which is, it's crazy because, like, I planned everything I was going to say to the kids when they were born. So, like, I said something to each of the kids in their ear when they were born.
Mm-hmm. Same thing or different things?
It's all different.
Oh, wow.
And it's between me, them, and Allah.
Yes, I know you said that. I wasn't going to ask.
And so, like, but I also have, like, what I'm going to say to them, like, if I get the happy providence of, like, being on a deathbed type of situation. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like that kind of feeling, like when, it wasn't really, maybe it's to a girl, it's probably to a girl, I don't know. But for me, it was like that wisdom that you give your kids when you're about to check out, for a little bit, because that's what we believe. Mm-hmm. And he's wrestling with the not the contradictions of free will and destiny or predetermination, but the paradox that is free will and predetermination, which is really interesting because when I came into my own understanding of theology, I thought it was something that only like Christians had to deal with, because there's clear predestinarian language in the Bible, in the Old and New Testament, obviously. But then as I started to study Islam, you know, the Allah's Qadr, it's a testament, it's an article of faith, is to believe in the Qadr of Allah, which cannot be overcome, which is his power to determine world events and your personal life and all the rest of it. And then, you know, you get Sam Harris, and who flirts from time to time with compatibilism. But even from certain atheist standpoints, you get to the point where, especially, you know, these poor people that try to physicalize consciousness end up having to deny any form of free will, because, you know, really it's your brain is controlling everything, and you don't think anything really. It's really just your brain and what the, you know, societal preconditions and environmental preconditions that influence your brain, and you're just really doing what the brain is telling you to do. So my point is, everybody's dealing with the ramifications of predeterminism and free will. So it was very interesting, like the way this guy wrestled with it in the song, and I thought he did a damn good job. But go ahead. What were you dealing with?
I see. For me, it's extremely. It's like a discipline, a lot of times, for me to even look and listen to the lyrics, because I just want to feel the music. Yeah. So, you know, there were parts where this one I would like focus in on the lyrics, especially like the pre-chorus. Throughout the years, I have struggled to find the answer that I never knew. Yeah. It struck me like a million lightnings, and here I am telling you. Yeah. To me, it was like a person was searching for a long time for certain answers, and then they found themselves spilling those questions to this other person, like they were sharing that.
But it seems like he found the answers, though. Is what it looks like.
Throughout the years, I've struggled to find the answer that I never knew. It struck me like a million lightnings, and here I am telling you. And I thought it was, what struck him with a million lightnings is the fact that he didn't have the answer to that question. And here he was telling this other person, which is a very vulnerable place to be, because you're admitting to someone, I don't know something, and something has troubled me for so long, and I still do not know the answer. So to me, that's what that piece was. You get what I'm saying? Or are you misunderstanding something?
No, I get what you're saying.
You don't know how I could get there.
Well, no, I know how you can get there, but it seems in the song he's giving a lot of advice. He's not coming from a place where he doesn't know what's going on. So it seems to me that he got some answers.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
It seems like he got some answers, and now he's explaining them to his girl, his son, whatever. And, you know, so the next thing he says is, every second of the day is coming your way, future unknown, it is here to stay. Yep. Which to your point, I think some of the answer that he got is that the future is unknown, and that you can't know the future. You have to experience the future. Cannot. You have to experience the future. You can't know the future. Right. And, you know, that's something where, like...
I think trying to know the future makes you unable to experience it.
Well, yeah. And like, to me, you know...
You can't be in this moment. You're always like, what's happening next?
Yeah. And, you know, this is an ongoing discussion I have with Dorian, because to me, that's just a control mechanism. Like... You're fearful of the unknown, which is the future, and so you try to construct all these control mechanisms so that you can delude yourself into believing that you can control the future, because to know the future is to control the future. If I know what you're going to do, then it's like knowing the play on Madden, right? Like if I know the play the guy's going to make, then I can control the future. Right. And I think a lot of growing is to realize that you cannot because you cannot know the future, you therefore cannot control the future. My role is not to control the future. My role is to experience the future. Which is then, what does it mean to experience the future? Well, and again, a mature person understands and loves the value of paradox. Yep. Because my role is not to control the future, it's to experience the future. And how do I experience the future? By living in the present as much as I possibly can, which is a paradox. Right. And an immature person is going to say, well, that's a contradiction. No, it's not. It's just a paradox. The means by which you experience the future, which is your job, is to live in the present. That's the way you experience the future. Right. But we are so caught up in trying to control the future by knowing the future that we then cannot function in the present. And so I think there's a real batch of wisdom in this song that if we can get it, it would make sense.
Yeah.
The hatred fills this earth, and for what it's worth, we're in the end before we know. Which is, again, the end is talking about the future, and it's talking about how quickly life just goes.
Yeah.
You know, and it
does.
It really is a crazy thing, because I remember walking Dorian in for the first time, you know, as a baby. And then, you know, yesterday Orion was saying, I want Dorian, which ended up just him being massively manipulative.
That's exactly what I thought it was.
Because you said Vinny, Dorian's in you said something like, I think Dorian's in trouble up there.
Yeah, I knew it. I was like, he's never going to be able to escape that boy.
I went upstairs and he's got both the kids in his arms.
I knew it.
And he goes, Father, you know, like, I'm like, I said, you gotta put him down, bro.
Yep.
And he's like, but they're crying.
They're crying.
It's like, just get out the room, bro.
I knew it. That's so funny.
It was hilarious to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's really interesting. Like it's just like mind blowing to me. Like, this kid's taller than me now. He's taller than me, like significantly, not significant, but noticeably taller than me.
Oh yeah.
And he's not done growing, and here he is holding these two kids, these two babies, you know, and he used to be a baby. It's just, and then the similarity between him and Orion as far as how they looked, it's just like a really crazy moment to watch that. And every second of the day is coming your way. Future unknown is here to stay. Got to open your mind or you'll be led astray. There's a time to live. There's a time to die. No one can escape their destiny. And, you know, that, I mean, obviously as a Christian, and, you know, I'm kind of, I very rarely, I don't think I've ever said like what specific kind of Christian or beliefs that I like. I go around a particular topic and a particular phraseology.
Yeah.
But obviously, from my vantage point, it's impossible for you to escape your destiny. And I think at the ultimate sense, everybody has to agree with that, because death is the destiny of every man, as the scripture says. So from that vantage point, we can come to an agreement, right? Like, okay, well, death, that's everybody's destiny. It's inescapable. It doesn't matter what you do. You're going to die. Okay. So then you go back and go, okay, what else is outside of our control that is going to happen to us?
Right.
Specifically, that's where people start, you know, that's where it gets hard for people. But from that vantage point, I would say, of course. Like, I think everybody agrees with that. And then after that, that's when you have to do your philosophical meanderings and all the rest of it. But go ahead, keep going. What was going on with you there at that point?
For me, I've always had that question, you know, like, is there a destiny? Because, you know, I grew up in a Christian home, and there was a lot about choices and decisions and right and wrong, real definitive, no gray areas, black and white, and that is the world. Yeah. And so, but then when I was reading, because we were encouraged to read the Bible for ourselves, obviously, and then when I would read it, I would find things in it that didn't sound like it was just only about choices. It also seemed like there were some things that were chosen for you or predestined, or, you know, like that kind of language was in there. And of course, when I would ask the questions, there was not some real good solid answers. Everything seemed a little squirrely, even with like high leaders or whatever. But even, I think they tried to answer the question the best that they could, but it was not satisfactory to me. And so if you didn't give me you know how I've always been like this, if you don't give me an answer that I deem good enough, I know, it's not even going to stick in my, there it goes, whoop, right out the window.
Yeah, but a lot of that stuff, it was obvious that they were not giving you an answer.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that it wasn't good enough. It was just kind of like, I know this is a weak sauce answer, but just believe what take it by faith. So I would always wrestle with that. And I got a pet, I named it Destiny, you know, and I wanted to, if I was to pick my own name, I probably would have picked something like Destiny, because I just love that idea. So that was kind of something that I loved the idea of destiny. I did, because there was this sort of so strange to me. Everything. Then why did you want to kick me out of the Bible study? Because if it's wrong, I can't have it just because I like it. Okay. I mean, you'd hear people say all the time, like, obviously, you know, I don't want people to die and go to hell, but what am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not God.
So just because I don't like the idea doesn't mean I can just abandon everything altogether because I don't like it.
I'm with
There's
you.
lots of things we don't like. So so it was one of those situations where I thought, woof, boy, wouldn't that be just so, because it was all this pressure with every decision and everything. It was like, am I making the right choice? Is this the wrong choice? And it just felt like everything was just an opportunity to find regret or guilt if you make the wrong decision and you land in the wrong way, which I think was why I always had that repetitive dream of you're in a room, there's 2 doors, you got to find the way out, you open the door, you can't go back, you have to go through the door that you open, and when you do, the room is smaller and you still have 2 doors, and each time the room gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It was like, maybe you made the right decision, but maybe you didn't, and there's no turning around now, you're stuck with this, and like all this like, I don't know, stress and whatever that goes along with it. So I think the idea of destiny was calming to me because I thought to myself, if only that were true, then I can't make a wrong decision. Every decision is leading me toward my future.
Yeah,
See
but like, I don't believe that. The Bible doesn't say that. You absolutely can make wrong decisions. Pharaoh made wrong decisions.
Right, but I liked the idea of, you make the right decision. Let's say something is set before you, and you make the right decision in that smaller, like, moral decision.
Yeah.
But things like, should I move to California or should I move to Florida? Like, is one of them morally wrong? Or are they both just choices you have?
Right.
Do you have a choice, though?
Choices that don't have moral value.
Or is it being decided for you? Like, are you going to say, I want to move to Florida, but all of a sudden, somehow, circumstances would land you in California?
Well,
you see what I'm saying? Like that?
Yeah, and that's because a lot of people assume philosophical,
Well, there was morality poured into everything.
Well, yeah, there's morality, and then there's also the assumption of libertarianism. So for example, I was looking at the comments, and they're like, the guy said, you make your own decisions, you control your life, and they're like, Vin is thinking God doesn't. No, God controls your life.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe that.
Just put that in our bedroom, honey.
It just for me, it depends on what angle you're looking at.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the story of Hamlet, because I look at the world as meta-narrative, right? So meta-narrative is essentially a story where the characters know that they're in a story.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
yes.
so did Hamlet choose to make the decisions he made? Yeah, in the universe of Hamlet, if you enter into the story, he absolutely made those decisions. Nobody put a gun to his head.
Right, yeah.
But there's another sense in which Shakespeare made those decisions. And both of those decisions are real, genuine decisions.
Right.
Shakespeare made real and genuine decisions, and so did Hamlet in the universe of Hamlet. And so for me, that's how I understand the will. If you understand but see, people assume libertarianism, which is the ability to act or act otherwise. And if you could not have chosen something else, they'll say that's not a genuine choice. No, that's just assuming libertarianism. Libertarianism is impossible from a Christian worldview. I asked a guy one time, I said, was it possible for Jesus not to love God the Father? No. I guess it wasn't a real choice then. Choices are real if you have an internal desire for that thing without any external compulsion, is what a compatibilist would say, and I'm a compatibilist. And so you have freedom in the sense that you can act on your desires. Uh-huh. But nobody would say that they can control their desires. I hate mayonnaise because God has made me a righteous person. But I didn't choose that. Nobody chooses what their favorite drink is.
Yeah, but then how can, if you know that you're in it's a meta-narrative and you know that you're in it, then how can somebody be angry at someone for their choices when they know that their choices were made within the storyline because they had to choose that?
No, they didn't have to choose that.
What do you mean? He had no other choice. He couldn't.
Well, again, there you go. You're assuming libertarianism. I can be angry at a person. I can be angry at Pharaoh. I could be rightly angry at Pharaoh because he desired to enslave those people.
But why did he desire that? Because the author made him desire it.
No, God didn't make him desire anything.
So he could have desired something different?
That was. But again, that's libertarianism. The fact is you're defaulting back to libertarianism and not compatibilism. What I'm saying is there are two philosophies here. There's libertarianism, which is the ability to act or act otherwise, and libertarians believe, and you still clearly are a libertarian. Libertarians believe that choices are not genuine if there is no other alternative. And I would say that cannot work from a Christian worldview. Did Jesus have any alternative other than to love you?
No.
Is it possible that Jesus could have said, I'm getting off the cross? Is that possible?
No.
Then that means he didn't genuinely love you. That's what you'd be forced to say as a libertarian. Right?
No, because he's God, so he wrote the whole thing.
It doesn't matter.
No, it does matter.
No,
it does
because
matter.
okay, so what about the Trinity then? The intra-Trinitarian love? Could Jesus have not loved God the Father a trillion years ago? Could he have chosen to say, you know what, fuck you?
No. But they were writing the story, babe.
That wasn't the story.
What do you mean?
Our reality is the story.
Yeah.
They're outside the
Yeah.
story. Okay, so then
it's not the same thing.
I'm agreeing
They
with
have
you.
different rules.
No, they don't have different rules because the rules are based on their natures. God cannot lie, the scripture says.
Yeah. Yes.
Does it mean that we can't celebrate God's truthfulness because he can't do it? He can't lie?
No. Yeah.
But if
I can't cross it over
But if
mentally,
you're a libertarian, you'd have to say that we shouldn't worship God for that because he couldn't do anything else.
Right.
So,
but it's natural to think in a libertarian way.
Well, I agree. That's why Spurgeon said everybody's born an Arminian. Right? So all I'm saying is that, for me, compatibilism, is obviously from a biblical worldview the only version of the will you can have from my vantage point. But when you look at the world, I look at Hamlet or I look at Romeo and Juliet, and I'd say, Romeo, you made a bad decision, bro. Because in the universe of Romeo and Juliet, he was making genuine choices because they were internal choices. They were decisions that he made. Now, outside of that, I look at Shakespeare and I go, you wrote a masterpiece. Nobody's going to say that Shakespeare didn't write a masterpiece, even though he wrote horrible things into that story. And so my thing is, look, Deuteronomy 29:29 is one of my life verses, right? The secret things belong to the Lord. The things revealed belong to us and our children so that we might obey all the words of this law. Mm-hmm. So what God wrote into the story are the secret things that are not revealed to us.
Right.
What is revealed to us is this is the universe you live. You have internal desires. You need to act on good internal desires. That's what you're responsible for. I'm not responsible for the author and his story. Mm-hmm. I'm responsible for me. So if it's like, okay, go to California or Yugoslavia. Like, there's no moral attachment to that in the sense that there's no biblical command of that we're violating or obeying, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just say, okay, then you activate Proverbs 16, which says a lot is cast into the lap, but the Lord determines the outcome. Or many of the plans that a man has, but the Lord determines his steps.
Yeah.
So that's how to properly use destiny from my vantage point, which is to say, many are the plans of a man. And Proverbs tells you, make plans. Observe the ant, right? The Bible tells you, observe the ant because he's building for the winter and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then Proverbs says, you plan, but the Lord determines the outcome.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I say, okay, so I'm going to positively do those things that God tells me, and I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to worry about it. He's going to determine the outcome. Whether I end up in California or Yugoslavia, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
this happened so many, like, look what happened. Like, when we bought the guitar for the kid. I want to say B, I'm talking about the entire village. What happened was I was at the barber. I was getting a haircut, and we were deciding. Actually, we were at Starbucks first, and we were deciding what we were gonna do. And then you wanted to get your Panera, but if we got Panera, it would have pushed us back for the haircut because I had scheduled the time with the guy, and I had said, okay, we're gonna go to the guitar shop, then we're gonna go get our haircut. Whatever. I had it flipped, but because you wanted to go to Panera, it flipped everything. Mm-hmm. So, and you're like, no, let's go to. And I said, nah, that's all good. I'll just get the haircut first. There's no reason, the guitar shop closes at 5 or whatever. We're good. So, because I did that, and honestly, what was guiding that decision was, husband loves your wife as Christ loved the church. I'm trying to put your agenda above my agenda. Once in every 10 million years, I get that one right, and so. As I'm ho-humming and deciding what to do, that passage popped in my head. Husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. And it came to my head like I should put my agenda, your agenda above my agenda if I'm following Ephesians 5. So I'm like, all right, cool. We can just flip it. I don't need to do that. Mm-hmm. So then I got to hear that set all those other things in motion because you and I both know we would have never met that kid if I didn't do that.
Right.
So that to me is a perfect example. God had determined the village was going to get the guitar for that kid. But the means by which that happened was me in a practical moment saying, Well, Ephesians 5 says we should stop at Panera first, which looks incidental.
Yeah.
But it was a plan. The Lord had determined the outcome.
Wow, that's interesting.
So that's how I look at the world. So I agree with the song on every aspect. You are in control of what you do. I did control that. Nobody put a gun to my head.
Right.
The Holy Spirit just whispered Ephesians 5 in my head and said, hey, little bro, can you be Christ in this situation once in your life? Okay, I'll be Christ in this situation once in my life. Mashallah. So so a choice is genuine if it's done by internal compulsion based on a desire. It's not genuine if it's done by an external compulsion based on force. So that's how a Christian compatibilist would determine free will. So nobody put a gun to my head to do that. So it was a genuine choice based on desire. You know, at some points
wait. If you're forced outwardly, it's not.
Yeah, so if you're forced externally to do something, then it's not a genuine choice from a compatibilist understanding.
Okay, which is why remember when like the church, it was really big to like threaten people with hell?
Yeah.
So that's why that was so wrong, is because you're using an outward compulsion to change them inwardly. Oh, you're afraid of hell, so now you should become a Christian?
Well, that's why John Piper said if you're only a Christian because you're afraid of hell, you're going to hell. Because that is not the ultimate way that God uses to motivate people.
Yeah.
And if you stay there, that's the entire point of the parable of the talents, where God gave everybody a talent.
He says you were
and the guy says, I was afraid of you because you're a hard man.
Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the fearful guy is the one that ended up getting chopped into pieces.
Yeah.
It was the guys that loved the master.
Right.
Those are the ones that were rewarded just because they loved it. And then what does the New Testament says? There's no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. So you can get in as a fearful person, but a genuine Christian is not going to remain fearful of God. They're going to love God because Jesus is irresistible. I mean, you know what that's like when he talks to you and shit. I was in the car and he's like, "Hey, bro," and you know what that's like.
Yeah.
That moment was better to me than getting the kid the guitar, which was a beautiful moment. Mm-hmm. But the moment where, like, you know that the Holy Spirit is speaking to you, that the spirit that was there in Genesis 1 hovering over the waters is now in your car talking to your selfish ass to do something for somebody that he loves deeply. Like, that to me was like, that was the highlight of the day. Of course, I didn't put that in the video because people won't understand it, but that's a highlight of the day for me. And you know that when he talks to you like that, if he told me to drive the car off a bridge, I'd have done it. Happily, I would have done it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with the song. Like, you're definitely in control. Like, those are decisions. That's a genuine decision I made. Mm-hmm. I made that genuine decision. Mm-hmm. Simultaneous to that, it was predestined that that our community was gonna do that for that kid. And I don't see any contradiction there. So that's my best shot at it. So I love the concept of the song, for sure. Okay. But go ahead. What were you saying? You got something different from the song, or
no? Like I said, I saw just those two pieces that I already spoke on, and then I just was kind of going with the song and seeing if it was I was just going with the song, and seeing if sorry, over here. This is the one, right?
Yeah. Stratovarius.
Yeah. I was just going. I started just following the feel of the music.
Yeah, and the way they ended the song, is that the last song on the record?
No, it's
that was the first song. Wow. Holy smokes, shit, man! Just the way they ended that song, it was like,
yeah.
I was like, how are you gonna follow that?
It felt like a theater, like, and the curtains would be closing.
Yeah,
I literally thought the end of a show.
Yeah, I was like, how the hell could you follow? That's the first song.
I don't know.
So
these people are either stupid or geniuses. We don't know.
Yeah, like if the other songs on this record are at that level,
yeah, that's
holy
what I'm saying.
Smokes! Good night. Good night.
So what did you give it?
I didn't grade it. You graded it.
It was actually a 10 for me.
Shit.
Yep, it was a 10.
I'm going to give it a 9.8. I don't like power metal at all. Very rarely do I like power metal.
Shouldn't I give it a higher score then? What'd you give it? 9.8?
9.8.
Oh.
But the metal was good at times. They did enough mood changes. I love the lyrical content. And I loved the ending. The ending was crazy. If I was in this band, I would be like, No. We're not going to put that up first. Because how the hell
the rest of your record is
because I don't like, how do you do that without
I don't know.
Without disappointing the rest of the record, man?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know.
Honestly.
But maybe they're good enough to where they're able to.
Yeah.
That was just like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. But
could be.
Holy shit. That was a good song. So 9.8, would you give it?
I give it a 10.
There you are, dear listener. Little basic theology for your YouTube enjoyment. Having said that, Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.